if we look at these two, they are going to be very different. A, because you're looking from downline to face on, but you'll still see what we're talking about in terms of length of back. So now, admittedly, this one on the left-hand side is a driver. We would expect this to be a longer club. I just want to show you really where your club was with the previous swing. So you're okay to there, club in a good position, okay to about there, okay to there, and then we'd collapse and the club would end up, as you see, way down. Almost in some ways, they've actually said level with your hip. And you think, that's a long way down there. It's a big swing, isn't it? Okay. But again, it's a big swing that's been created by the wrong means. Okay. If you had the flexibility,
I break too much.
Exactly. You've got left arm bend, too much wrist hinge, collapsing with that wrist, and that collapsing with the wrist is just causing the club, as you said, to get open. So when you swung the golf club initially with, I think it was the 9-9 you said, and you only went back to kind of here, or a bit further, the ball was going left because there wasn't the element of going right in the swing that happens kind of more so with the driver up here. Now this was the 6 iron you hit it now, and for me again, even though it's a different angle, you can see a much better top of the backswing. Now for me, just because the club hasn't got to the so-called 90-degree full position, a full backswing for me is a 90-degree shoulder turn, which you have had, because that's when your shoulders start. Then they've rotated. They've 90. Exactly. There's no, and your wrists have hinged. Basically, different colour.
I don't mean nothing.
90 degrees.
In fact, the wrists are not going to give a lot of power.
Exactly. I mean, your wrist hinge 90 and your shoulder turn 90. That's kind of your maximum threshold. If you have the ability to go further, because we are like elastic bands or we're some sort of like a less flexible person, then great. But more often than not, people will end up going further and doing so in a way that's either involving a bending of the elbow, too much wrist hinge, or their body would just sway to the left-hand side like so. All three of those movements now is going to get you in a position that's going to resemble something with the club down there, this and this up here. And as a result of that, when you come back to the golf ball, your control back there's gone. Yes, you could argue the club might create more velocity or speed, but it's wasted on the golf ball because the face is either open or deflecting off, and he's going.
And after I have to one shot more to return.
Well, exactly, And in some ways, I think even though you might have more club head speed, you're not going to have more golf ball speed in the direction you want to go. It's going to be a weaker spinning shot that's going to go off the right down. You said you have to then chip back the fairway, so you might lose 20 yards in terms of total distance, plus you've got to come out sideways.
I lose one shot.
Exactly. So if we can get that sensation by you keeping the width there between your top of your sort of chest and your neck area and your hands, just maintaining that width. Now again, when you went back to try to go back here statically, you were like, oh, it's a bit stretched. We don't want to feel overly stretched, okay? Momentum will carry you a little bit further, okay, which is fine, okay? But as you went back to the top of the backswing, now the good thing as well on this, when we talked about the start there, the swaying with the body, we don't want to have too much lateral. If you look at this sort of 6-iron movement here now, that's very good. You've maintained kind of the if you look at the barrel sort of situation, the edge of the barrel there, you're inside the outside lines of your body, not swaying so much. So the top of the backswing there, you're keeping now again. The width here now has been maintained. The width here now is maintained. And you're back to the golf ball, lovely. And then through to target. Very, very good swing, nice and balanced. And the thing is, what you will find is a couple of shots you said you were catching the ground a bit early, okay? Which is to be expected, only because if you bend your arm like on the left-hand side here now, to get back to the golf ball, you have to then extend and stretch. If you didn't, you just miss the ball and go across the top. Because if you start off here and bend your arms into your body, the club gets higher. So therefore, you've got to try and make some kind of adjustment. Now, as you maintain that width on the way back, if you adjust, you hit the ground earlier. So for me, it's about trying to keep sort of one constant kind of hinge point that's going back and forth. If we have kind of this and all these things, your consistency is all over the place.
I'm repeating the correction, but I don't need it.
Exactly. I think you've got to be disciplined here on the range especially. And this is why I try to get people to hit shots where you don't just go hit. Because if you do that, you will kind of recover or adjust to the fault. And you'll start hitting the ball nicely, but is it a good swing or is it a good reaction? The 6th shot you hit with the driver was a lovely shot, 175 yards, dead straight pretty much. It was 10 yards off the centre line, and it didn't spin at all to the right. Okay, lovely shot. But it was 6 shots in about 2 minutes. On a golf course, you hit a drive every 20 minutes. So ideally speaking, when you come on here, hit some shots, maybe with a few clubs, change club, hit some shots, sit down, if Milena's with you, let Milena have a go, trying to get into that. Exactly. Go on your phone, let Milena have a shot, do a few putts in there or whatever, come back, see if you can replicate the good quality shots. If the shots then get progressively worse the first time back, it's a pretty good chance you're doing something wrong up here and having to recover, and then you hit 4 or 5 in a row, you work out the recovery. Then when you would leave it and go somewhere else and do something different and come back, get a coffee or get a putt or whatever, when you come back, if it's not as good, hang on a minute, you're relying on that repetition to hit a golf ball good rather than one good shot and one good swing to hit the ball good. That kind of make sense then, yeah? Excellent, good stuff.